YouTube, we gotta talk. YouTube, we have to talk. Seems like there's a little bit of waves happening in the Street Fighter League department here. Capcom Esports has something to report about one of my personal favorite players from Japan, Dogura, and it's not a good look. I'm not gonna lie to you. I caught wind of this last night, and needless to say, it was pretty saddening as someone that's a really big fan of Dogura. But without any further waiting and all that other good stuff, let's just get right into it and let's see what Capcom Esports has to say about Dogura in this situation. Everything here, everything kind of translated here. Thank you, Google Translate, Google Translate. And it says here, Street Fighter League Pro JP 2024, Crazy Racoon, Dogura receives a warning. The Street Fighter League management team announces that they have issued a warning to Crazy Racoon Dogura. Reason for punishment: making an inappropriate remark as a Street Fighter League player. Future response: will ask his team, Crazy Racoon, to thoroughly implement measures to instruct players to prevent a reoccurrence. So what this entails essentially is Dogura said something he probably shouldn't have said as a player in Street Fighter League. Now, for context, Street Fighter League essentially is a job for these players. So with anything regarding a job, obviously you can't really say anything too negative or anything that seems negative towards the job, if you will. And there's more. I'm gonna cut to the next part here. So Cross posted this here. You know, my GOAT Dogura got warned for making jokes about Street Fighter League when he should have been warned for playing Valorant. Understandable. So here's kind of like the letter of what Crazy Racoon said, which will translate in a second. But to get into exactly what Dogura stated, basically him and Kokujin were playing Valorant, and Kokujin said he ought to practice for Street Fighter League, you know, for his match for the next day. But Dogura said it's not really, you know, it ain't really that serious. And I can't read Japanese like that. My Japanese is horrible, sorry guys. But luckily it was translated here to roughly whatever, isn't it enough? Not really a tournament. LOL. And I agree here, people are mad that he's not trying for his team or his fans. And big ups to No Life of Ray for helping translate this. Now, as I mentioned before, as a fan of Dogura, and I've been a fan of Dogura for a very long time, this even goes all the way back to like Guilty Gear. I'm a little disappointed in this, but before I talk about my personal disappointment, let me get into the translation here. And I believe it was Super Yan that helped translate this. Shout out to Super Yan. This is the apology report here. Thank you for your continued support of Crazy Racoon regarding the incident in which Dogura, a member of our Street Fighter 6 division, made a statement during a live stream that was deemed inappropriate. Necessary measures have been taken based on a decision from Capcom. That's kind of scary. Our team has also given Dogura a stern warning. We take this incident seriously. We'll implement thorough measures to prevent a reoccurrence, and we'll continue to strengthen training for our players. We would like to offer our deepest apologies to our fans and all those involved for the concern and inconvenience that was caused. Our team will continue to work hard to live up to your trust, so we appreciate your continued support. This is coming from, I believe, the heads of Crazy Racoon. And as you saw earlier, we had this here. Just again, thank you, Super Yan, for helping translate this. So, as I mentioned before, it's essentially like a job. So obviously, you don't really want to like say something too negative about your job. And the fact that, you know, measures were taken based on a decision from Capcom, that kind of screams volumes to me on the outside looking in. It seems to me as if Capcom probably warned Crazy Racoon to potentially maybe take him off the team, maybe find a replacement, you know, which wouldn't be surprising at this point, because you have to remember that it's also a cultural difference from being here in America where I live and in Japan where they're playing. So, you know, it's very safe to assume, based on how stern this is, that the powers that be, aka the people above, who are running Street Fighter League, you know, via Capcom and their big old production behind it, you know, they take it seriously. Now, to my knowledge, and something that's been brought up in this discussion is about the players getting paid and whatnot, which they do get paid. They do have a little mini salary or something like that that they do receive for playing in the Street Fighter League. How big or small, you know, that's up to them to disclose. That's not my business to disclose that information. But the point of the matter is, you know, when Dogura makes a statement like that, it leads me to believe that maybe it's just not that crazy in terms of their pay. So I could see why he'd be that way. But again, it's still a job, if you will. And I think it's esports, right? And there are a lot of fans in Japan. There are a lot of fans in America, myself included, who was a big fan of Dogura. It does kind of suck a little bit. I don't think he meant to let anyone down in what he was saying per se, but I think the issue is that when you say things of that nature, where it's like, whatever, it's not really that serious, it's not a major, it's not a tournament, it's like, man, it really stings. You know what I mean? It's like if you were watching, you know, the All-Star game for like the NBA, and like said team isn't really taking it seriously, said players aren't really taking it seriously, or like it's the NBA playoffs and like the team isn't taking it serious or whatever, they're just like, whatever, we're just gonna get stomped anyway or whatever. It's like, you know, there are fans that are paying good money to go in the stands and watch their favorite players. And I know that's what happens in Japan. They do have the live screenings of Street Fighter League out there too. So it's kind of like, man, you have fans on that side of, you know, literally in your own region, on top of fans outside of your region that are just like pulling for you. And it's like, you gotta take it serious, you know? And for me, on the outside looking in, part of what would annoy me, or just to be open and honest about it, right, from my personal perspective, like even as a player, I'm gonna pull myself out of content creator mode for just a second and pull myself into the player role just for this talk, right? You know, as a player, I see it almost as, in a sense, and watch disappointing, it looks almost like a gift horse in the mouth, you know? Like, I would want you to take it serious, right? Because there are a lot of players who look at it and have that like dream of wanting to be on Street Fighter League, be it NA or whatnot, you know, regardless of how much Capcom's paying you or whatever. Like, to say you're not making any money, that would be a lie. Would you want to make more? Obviously so. But, you know, with the notoriety that they're gaining as streamers on top of whatever pay that they're getting, the streams and the YouTube content are also supplementary to whatever Capcom's paying them. So Capcom's paying, I believe Capcom's paying them, and then let's just say the organization that they're with is paying them as well. So it's kind of like you got revenue streams. Even if not for the Street Fighter League not paying as much, or as, you know, the pay not being up to snuff, I can understand that. But like the fact that your stream's doing well, your YouTube's doing well, the organization is paying you, you know, the Street Fighter League could be paying you a little bit more, but you know, you have 3 other sources of income, you know, that are doing well. So it's like a lot of people would want to be in his shoes and fill that same role, which makes it, you know, I think that's like the trepidation I have with the situation, is that you can fulfill that role with any other player who wants to be there and would actually try hard. Regardless of the pay, I think it's just about, at that point to me, the notoriety. And I think you can make a case, again, it's a difference in culture, right? But I think if, because I'm not really that familiar with Japanese culture in regards to asking for raises, right? But I would assume that there's some kind of, you know, what's it called, a union of some kind, or some kind of way you can work with Capcom or whatnot, or even, you know, your organization to try to figure out, you know, hey, is there anything we can do to work towards like receiving more income for this, or et cetera, you know what I mean? Like there's no telling what can be done. But again, I'm not sure about Japanese culture. I'm not sure how that works. I really couldn't say. But at the end of the day, I do think that it is saddening, because legit anyone can take his place, you know. And I don't think Dogura wants to get replaced personally. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't at all. But, you know, when fans catch wind of that, it's just, I just don't think it ends well. It doesn't. And it really does not help that, you know, Capcom can just watch the streams. You know, that's the crazy part. Like, they can watch your streams and check and see if you're saying anything crazy about Street Fighter 6, much as Street Fighter League. I'm pretty sure it's mostly just pertaining to Street Fighter League. I think they can say what they want about the game, but maybe to, like, I guess being a part of Street Fighter League, you probably have a certain degree of being able to talk somewhat negatively about the game. Like, it's understandable if you have complaints about things you don't like in the game. That's understandable. I think that's reasonable. But I'm sure that I'm sure that they have some kind of limitations, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know. I'm sad for him, and I'm sad for Street Fighter League, because now in my mind, right, I feel like the future of Dogura in Street Fighter League is probably going to be bleak, and they're probably not going to consider him for the next one because of what happened, or they might replace him mid-season or something like that. Like, I'm not a fan of that, mostly because, you know, I'll always say I think everyone deserves a job, and I do think people are human, and they do make mistakes. Maybe they don't remember or realize where they're saying what they're saying, why they do what they do. So I'm pretty partial, but, you know, like I said, that's a difference in culture, difference in how things work, you know, like, just difference in culture, right? So I don't know. All I can say is I'm gonna hope for the best for Dogura. I hope that he does get to keep his position, at least until the end of the season with Street Fighter League. Hopefully he can close out the Street Fighter League with his team. If they didn't consider him for the next season, like I said before, rightfully so. But at the very least, if they are to punish him, at least let him finish the season. That's how I see it. I'd rather him finish the season out with his team than not. So, and even if he does get kind of pushed away from Street Fighter League, it's not like he doesn't have other events he could do. I'm not sure what the extent is of, you know, removing him, but man, it just hurts, you guys. I'm just thinking about it, man. It really just hurts. But regardless, I could yap all day about this. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments below. Are you guys okay with Dogura saying what he had to say? Do you think Japan is being a little too stern? Do you think they're being a little too firm with him? What do you guys think? Talk to me. Let me know in the comments below, and let's start a dialogue. Talk to me. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe, peace, love, all of the good stuff, and some buttons. Peace.